the champions on Boots' radar. I mean, I still think it's bizarre that Manny Pacquiao's fighting for a world title 5 years out of the ring and just not anywhere near at world level anymore. But that's boxing and it's the business and we understand it. I think
Eddie Hearn brutally shuts down Manny Pacquiao's comeback, claiming the 46-year-old has zero chance and shouldn't be anywhere near a world title.
Yeah, 3 years ago, we were approached to do Conor Benn against Manny Pacquiao, right? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and it went on for about 6 months or so, right? We were talking. I got absolutely ridiculed for talking about that fight, right?
In the wake of Manny Pacquiao's announcement that he'll be stepping back into the ring to challenge Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight title, one voice in the boxing world isn't holding back. Promoter Eddie Hearn has stirred major controversy by flat out stating that Pacquiao will never beat Barrios in a million years, adding that the Filipino legend shouldn't be fighting at all, let alone for a world title.
2 or 3 years after that, where he's boxed in a couple of exhibitions and clearly is just physically not anywhere near where he used to be, fighting a world champion. So let's see the response. And I'm not going to sulk about it, but it's just not fair. Why is it one rule for me and one rule for the others?
Hearn's take isn't just harsh, it's sparked an uproar. The 46-year-old Pacquiao, once one of boxing's most unstoppable forces, has been out of the pro circuit since 2021 when he lost a decision to Yordenis Ugas. Since then, he's dabbled in exhibitions, but now he's going after a full championship at an age when most fighters have long retired.
Let me ask you a question, Eddie. Pacquiao's to beat Barrios, yeah? Are you telling me that you wouldn't consider a fight for Conor Benn against Pacquiao then?
He will never beat Barrios in a million years, number one. And I don't even rate Barrios. But yes, if Barrios went, if Manny Pacquiao went and had a big win in boxing, then of course I'd put him in with our guys. And he was WBC world champion. But he won't, and he shouldn't be fighting. And he certainly shouldn't be fighting for the world title. But of course, I'm not going to sit and go, oh, no, it was disgraceful that he fought Barrios, so I'm standing firm and not letting any of my fighters fight him. It's a fight game, mate. I just think it's a joke.
Even though Pacquiao has been inactive professionally, the WBC has somehow ranked him at number 5, opening the door for this shocking title shot. Hearn, unimpressed by both the decision and Pacquiao's chances, bluntly stated that even a victory wouldn't justify the fight. While he acknowledged that if Pacquiao somehow pulled off a miracle, he'd consider letting his fighters face him, Hearn reiterated it wasn't going to happen and made it clear he doesn't support the bout. But while Hearn stands firmly against the idea of Pacquiao returning to title contention, others in the sport aren't as dismissive. Oscar De La Hoya, who once shared the ring with Pacquiao, expressed genuine belief in the veteran's chances. Despite the odds and Pacquiao's advanced age, De La Hoya called a Pacquiao win absolutely possible, citing the 8-division champion's legendary skill set and experience. De La Hoya did admit it wouldn't be easy and that Barrios is no pushover, but still maintained that Pacquiao is capable of pulling off the upset.
I wish him all the best.
Cuadra, I love him. Can he do it?
Cuadra? Can he do it? Absolutely. Manny Pacquiao's
Oscar needs.
He's a legend,
Some nice ones, thank you.
He's a legend. I think he can do it. Absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but I think he can do it. Yeah.
The matchup itself is eye-catching. Barrios, at 30 years old, is in his physical prime and 16 years younger than Pacquiao. He's not an elite champion by most measures, but he has proven himself to be tough and durable. While he considered pursuing a unification bout with Jaron Ennis, the money and name recognition tied to fighting Pacquiao was too tempting to turn down. However, Barrios' recent form hasn't been overwhelming. His last 2 fights were less than stellar. He narrowly escaped with a win over fringe contender Fabian Madonna, and then followed that with a disappointing disappointing split decision draw against Abel Ramos. Those performances have raised questions about whether Barrios is slipping or simply had off nights.
Barrios doing the everything but unifying with boots. Hey man, let me tell you, Barrios has always been the biggest fight, and now if he fights and beats Pacquiao, he's the bigger fight, you know? And I told y'all, I'm not gonna let y'all forget, I told y'all that I was told Barrios would be the last piece. He'd be the last piece, you know? He's gonna wait, just like Plant did, Barrios will. They already offered Barrios an offer to fight Norman, he turned it down. They said they was busy, and obviously they was. Look, the Pacquiao news broke. So Barrios will be the last piece. They're gonna sell that belt to Boots and Eddie for top dollar.
Timothy Bradley, a man who fought Pacquiao 3 times, also weighed in on the comeback. Bradley didn't hold back his concerns, warning that Barrios could very well be the one to end Pacquiao's return permanently. According to Bradley, Barrios has youth, size, and technical ability on his side. While acknowledging Pacquiao's greatness, he argued that comebacks like this often don't end well, especially when legends underestimate the effects of time and ring rust. He pointed out that the Ugas loss may not have been enough to convince Pacquiao to stay retired, but a beating from Barrios might be.
Manny Pacquiao getting back in the ring again for a world title fight.
Well, obviously, it definitely has to do with money. 1, 2, I think Manny Pacquiao, I think his C game is a lot better than anybody, a lot of guys' A game, even with the age. But you have to take into account the last time he stepped foot in that ring against Ugas. You know, he didn't look good. He was outmatched by, you know, a fighter, a younger fighter. Barrios is no slouch. Barrios is a young fighter, you know, bigger fighter, knows how to, you know, control distance very well, can punch a little bit. Like, he's no easy task for anybody in the welterweight division. And for Manny to come back after this long and to face a young guy like that is dangerous. And sometimes, you know, these old legends, they got to get beat up several times before they call it quits.
Manny Pacquiao against Mario Barrios fight is signed, done for July of 2025. Pacquiao is 46 years old. We haven't seen him in the ring in years. Are you cool with Pacquiao against Mario Barrios?
If I was cool with Manny Pacquiao coming back and fighting Keith Thurman, I'm definitely going to be cool with this one. Barrios is not a puncher. Thurman was a one of the biggest punchers in boxing. I think he's going to be just fine.
If Pacquiao wants to come back as a Hall of Famer and fight one more time, whatever. He didn't look good against Yordenis Ugas, and that was 5 years ago. We've seen him in these exhibitions looking fleshy, to say the least. It's meaningless because if Barrios wins, he's never going to fight a Boots Ennis. If Pacquiao wins, he's not going to fight anybody ever again. So I'm kind of indifferent to the whole thing.
Bradley isn't alone in his concern. Former longtime promoter Bob Arum, who was instrumental in guiding Pacquiao through the most successful periods of his career, offered a more personal but equally skeptical perspective. Arum made it clear he still holds Pacquiao in the highest regard, but questioned the wisdom of fighting again at age 46. He compared Pacquiao's comeback to George Foreman's historic run in the 90s, but noted that Foreman was younger and far more active than Pacquiao has been in recent years. Arum said he's an amazing person, Manny Pacquiao, and if anybody can do it, he can do it, but I'm really concerned about it given his age and his inactivity. But again, I will certainly be rooting for him because he's really a great guy who has meant so much to us as a company. Pacquiao hasn't had a professional victory since 2019, when he edged out Keith Thurman in a close contest. His return in 2021 against Ugas was supposed to be against Errol Spence Jr., but a late injury forced Ugas to step in. The result was a flat performance by Pacquiao, who struggled to keep up with Ugas's timing and precision. After that, Pacquiao retired and focused on politics in the Philippines, only resurfacing for exhibitions against DKU and Rukia Anpo, which drew attention but little critical acclaim.
There's the thought, an absolute joke. I love Manny Pacquiao. Love everything about him. An all-time great in terms of what he's done previous, but that doesn't entitle you to just walk back in after 6 years and get a number 4 ranking with the WBC and fight for a world title. What about all the other guys that are waiting around? It's wrong. We seen Manny Pacquiao fight an exhibition against a kickboxer in his last fight, and kickboxers can't box, right? I've seen world champion kickboxers coming and sparring boxers. They can't box. They can kick, but they can't, and they can kick and box a little bit. They can't really box. And Manny didn't look great. I mean, yeah, I don't know. The WBC, I think they have a lot of time for Mauricio Sullivan, but I think it's a mistake, really do, and they should be quite embarrassed allowing a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao straight in for a world title fight.
Because what's the worst case scenario? Someone gets seriously hurt. Someone has like life-altering injuries, and that could happen in boxing. We've seen this. Manny Pacquiao isn't immune to this. He's been knocked out. He's been hit. He's not Floyd, who has been hardly hit. Like, he's been knocked out cold. I thought when he got knocked out by Marquez, I thought he died. It was that scary.
Yeah.
Remember that one? So
I do.
Ultimately, I'm most surprised that if it hasn't been officially announced, if it lands in Nevada or California, I'll be very surprised and dare I say disappointed.
Now, he's coming back against a fighter who is the current WBC welterweight champion, a man who may not be an all-time great, but is active, hungry, and dangerous enough to cause real problems for a veteran with limited recent competition. Even Pacquiao's longtime trainer, Freddie Roach, understands the risks. Roach, who guided Pacquiao from a skinny unknown into one of the sport's most iconic champions, is preparing for what might be their final run together. He remembers vividly the first day Pacquiao entered the wildcard gym more than 2 decades ago, asking for someone to hold mitts. That moment changed both of their lives, and Roach has stayed in Pacquiao's corner ever since.
Fred's looking for a hug over here. Fred's looking for a hug. Fred in the house, right? Yeah, it's too early. He looks familiar. He looks familiar. Never too early for you. Back to work again. Keep me off the streets. There's Raising Cane's poster boy, Fred. Keep me on social media.
First time we met, you're 42. 43. No, I'm 50.
Sean Porter suggested that the key for Pacquiao would be to capitalize on the early rounds. Porter emphasized that aging fighters tend to lose not only speed, but also timing and stamina. In his view, Pacquiao's best chance lies in starting aggressively and expending whatever energy reserves he still has early in the fight. According to Porter, Barrios' fighting style might actually complement Pacquiao's fast-paced offense, but if the bout extends into the later rounds, the aging legend could struggle to keep up.
He's either going to come to the ring and be able to be fast enough to get off the shit that he used to get off on. And if he does, he clocks him and he knocks him out. What I know, without going into really deep detail, that left hand against that right hand, his left hand always gets there quicker than the other guy's right hand. Not only that, Azteca is a forward fighter moving into that left hand. You know what I mean? So this is kind of a match made in heaven for Pac.
9 years ago, this would have been Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, another iconic figure in boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard, reflected on his own experience returning to the ring after a long layoff. Though he was significantly younger than Pacquiao at the time, Leonard acknowledged the psychological and physical challenges of re-entering the sport after years away. He stressed the importance of mental toughness and passion, suggesting that Pacquiao might still possess the heart required to compete, even if the physical odds are stacked against him.
Manny Pacquiao's ring return at 46 years old. He's been out of the ring about the same time as you were when you stepped back in. Just what do you think what kind of challenge he's gonna face, having been a great fighter yourself and him, comparable in career-wise? What kind of challenges do you think he's gonna face, and any advice on him doing things a certain way that maybe you found you did a mistake or this and that, give or take?
You know what, when I came back that one horrible time, it was all me. It was my mindset. It was the way I felt like I believe I could win. I trained hard, but you know what? I won't do it again. You know what I mean? I won't do it again. But I can't tell someone don't do that. Because I made too many comebacks.
As for Manny, just any advice for him at all?
Just be healthy and do what you think you can do. It's a hard thing to answer.
Take that away from somebody. It's kind of taking it away from somebody. You kind of got to find out what's there, right?
Absolutely. You know, if you just have to believe in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. And that's my thing. It could be positive, it could be negative. But that's life.
But you can live with the result.
I can do. Oh, you're talking now.
Teddy Atlas also voiced deep concerns. While he didn't question Pacquiao's courage or legacy, Atlas feared the return could be driven by financial pressures. He said it would be unfair for a fighter of Pacquiao's stature to have to keep fighting for money, and he warned that coming back at this stage could do more harm than good, not just to Pacquiao, but to the sport he's given so much to.
As far as what he says and the reasons for things, people have a right to question those reasons too, you know, and as far as, first of all, I'd appreciate more people just, again, just cut to the chase and just shoot it straight, you know, rather than use Leonard as an example with his father, which, okay, that's fair, but just use like I do with the movies and just go right to the Godfather and say, hey, it's business, baby, it ain't personal. Because, if we get past all the crap, it's business.
Atlas said he's okay with legends getting fast-tracked to big fights based on past achievements, but the issue here is Pacquiao's physical condition and the potential danger of taking punches from a much younger champion. The fear, shared by many in the sport, is that something could go wrong, seriously wrong, and Pacquiao could pay a heavy price.
I'm concerned that he's gonna fight a young guy that has been active, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned about that.
Despite the risks, the stage is set. The fight is planned for July 19th in Las Vegas. The venue is still unconfirmed, but the buzz is growing. Pacquiao remains a massive draw, and the spectacle of his return, regardless of the outcome, will be hard to ignore. Whether he's fighting for pride, legacy, or money, one thing is clear: everyone in boxing is watching. Some are rooting for a miracle, others are bracing for disaster. Eddie Hearn might be the loudest critic right now, but he's far from the only one asking if this fight should even be happening. For Pacquiao, it's one last shot to defy the odds, silence the doubters, and add another unbelievable chapter to a legendary career, or prove that finally time has caught up with him.